Well, today's show is full of some of the most eyebrow-raising, surprising, and downright shocking health trends that you've ever seen, and it all starts right now.
Today on The Doctors, the raw food diet.
I ate the raw meat to kill myself, and it did just the opposite.
That turned into a debate.
You've been taught the bacteria theory.
Bacteria is not a theory.
Something else I think is complete nonsense, and everyone has probably considered doing it. They're called detox diets. Everyone out there, there's a message in the popular media that we're full of all these toxins and our bodies don't have any idea how to get rid of them. So you got to detox yourself with these crazy diets to live a normal life, which is absurd.
Show me the toxins. I mean,
well, I think what people are, people who drink and smoke, they're trying to figure out ways to get that out of their body. But the only way is to stop.
That is true.
Stop, and your natural organs will detoxify anyway.
It's certain medications, and we know that food is treated. It can be treated with insecticides, things like that. But it's up to us to first make sure things are clean, wash them, and then you're less likely to consume something that potentially could be a toxin. Right. But the whole concept that your colon gets caked with all this crud, bad stuff, that's not happening.
Well, we've got livers for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and our livers and our kidneys, they detoxify
and our
us.
spleen.
So let's talk about this, though, because we actually did a show here where someone was on the Master Cleanse diet for a week, and it's lemon juice, maple syrup, pepper, and that's all you drink. We're going to move on to another really interesting trend, number 9 on our list. Everyone's heard about a raw food diet. Well, have you ever heard of the raw meat diet? It's true. It's reported that certain celebrities have sworn by it. Well, here to tell us about the raw meat diet is author of We Want to Live, The Primal Diet, and Recipe for Living Without Disease, Aajonus Vonderplanitz. Welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Tell you what, when I read about your diet that you eat, I was shocked because raw meat in general, we always say don't eat it because it's filled with bacteria that can cause serious illness, even death, salmonella amongst them. So what I want you to come up here and let's talk a little bit about what you eat and why. Come on up. First off, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, no, I would never eat that. Mm-hmm. I would never eat that. Mm-hmm. I'd eat that, and I would eat those if they were cooked. Mm-hmm. So why do you say this is healthy for us?
Well, I was dying of multiple myeloma and lymphoma and stomach cancer 40 years ago. They said I would never be able to eat any raw food again, that if I ate even a banana or an apple, that I'd have to steam it. The cancer resurfaced again when I was about 30 years old. And I decided that I was just not going to live through it again because it was very painful. So I ate the raw meat to kill myself. And it did just the opposite. It invigorated me for the first time in my life.
So you're eating literally raw meat. This is raw chicken.
Correct.
And you're just eating that.
Correct.
And where are you getting the chicken?
Do you eat it right off the bone like that?
Well, I can eat it right off the bone. Would you like to see?
Have you prepared it specially? Is it a particular kind of meat?
No, well, my preparation is to leave it out to get room temperature. This is a little cold. There's no taste. It's like, paper.
Do you buy it from the regular grocery store?
No, this is Rocky Jr. chicken, which is grown on non-GMO corn.
Do you eat fruits and vegetables, or do you just pretty much eat raw
I
meat?
eat one fruit a day and vegetable juice, not whole vegetables.
So, as doctors, we have to challenge you a little bit here because...
I'm getting hungry.
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah, no, this is really good.
Can't watch.
I'm sorry.
Now, all the respect in the world for you and what you're doing. I do not recommend this to anyone at home or anyone in the audience. A raw meat diet, I'm going to tell you right now, runs the risk of so many bad things, whether it's salmonella amongst others. And, again, to each their own.
For pregnant women, obviously toxoplasmosis we're very concerned about for raw meat, and that can cause birth effects.
Especially
the women who've been pregnant on this diet, when they give birth, only have 2 contractions and the baby's out.
But what's going on with their baby?
I'm going to challenge you on some other things. I read your history as well. There are a lot of things that you claim that I have trouble. You said you had 300 heart attacks by the time you were 22.
Yeah.
And so there are all these huge claims that I have trouble backing up with science. And so I'm not saying that this diet for you isn't a wonderful thing. and that there aren't people in the world who eat this diet that don't live happy, healthy lives. But this is a dangerous diet for your average person.
How do you know that?
Because in
Anybody?
the ER, I have taken care of people who have actually almost died from eating raw chicken.
My question is,
How have you seen that's eaten raw chicken? I think that's a myth. I don't believe you.
My question is,
I've done it.
how does
25,000 people do it.
A lot of kids, especially, are prone to food poisoning, and you know, E. coli especially, from unpasteurized juice and milk, and that would, you know, that's dangerous.
That is a myth. When I did my laboratory work.
Pasteurization was a breakthrough, a health breakthrough.
To prove that it's not a myth.
how do you feel the
I think it is a
cooking
myth.
hurts the food?
If you will let me contest you, laboratory-wise, how much have you done on observing people who've eaten raw meat? How much laboratory work have you done?
I'm actually
studies
agreeing that I
that
think
go
raw
back
food,
years.
raw vegetables, raw fruit, and you know, is great. But there's a huge
there's not enough
for
protein
meat,
in
and there's for some of the meats and for milk, there's risk for infections that you really got to be concerned about.
See, the problem is that you've been taught the bacteria theory, which is a complete...
Bacteria is not a theory. I'm sorry.
Yes,
Yeah,
well,
no,
bacteria is
a lot
not a
of
theory.
science.
There's bacteria in all of this. To fear these is a problem. When you pasteurize or cook something and the bacteria feeds on it then, you have a toxic byproduct. That's why 2 years ago at Davis University in Northern California, they took raw milk and they spiked it with 5 different bacteria that are accused of growing in raw milk. Since the lactic acid is raw, the bacteria could not grow. It could not flourish. However, when they spiked pasteurized milk, it grew in an instant. That was dangerous. So raw milk, raw meat or not, when you cook them and then the bacteria feeds on it, there are toxic byproducts. Otherwise, they help you.
So the takeaway here is, again, you know, this is a diet that you've used that has contributed, in your opinion, greatly to your health. And I think that is wonderful. That's the whole point of the show. Shocking health trends. Again, I think it's wonderful that you eat this. No thanks, not for me. I'll take my chicken cooked, thank you.
Have you ever been to a French restaurant?
Don't.
I
Steak
have.
tartare, raw meat with raw
Don't you
egg.
have
Right,
to
and
sort-
absolutely, there are certain meats and fish, sushi, that if prepared correctly,
I love raw
you know, in the
meat.
right way, are lower in risk for bacteria and all these other bad things. But again, if you're at home, don't go to the grocery store and pick up a few chicken breasts and eat them raw, because you do risk very serious illness.
Hi, I'm Aajonus Vonderplanitz, and I'm sure many of you saw me on the doctor's program. Wasn't quite fair because they did not let me answer all questions, because there are 4 of them and only 1 of me. And the fact that Dr. Travis went on the Dr. Phil show and talked about this diet. Now, this is a diet he knows nothing about. Doctors have no training in nutrition, on diet at all. 5 or 6 hours maybe in all of the 12 years of their education. And when they're in the hospitals and in practice, they have no exposure to it except by hearsay. They don't study, they don't observe it. So for him to make a commentary that it's dangerous is one of the most unscientifically unsound, irrelevant, and immaterial comments of all times. I'm a living testament. I have been eating raw meats and some high, rotten meats since 1976. I've never gotten a parasite from it, and I was a very sickly individual. I was dying of 4 types of cancers, plus I had diabetes, psoriasis, and angina pectoris. All of them so-called incurable. Here I am today. So, Dr. Travis, you need to go and do some research on your own or be quiet.
I'm talking with Aajonus Vonderplanitz again. And I recently saw on YouTube a segment from the TV show called Doctors. And on that show, basically what they were saying, they interviewed you, but they kept saying that basically eating raw meat is dangerous. Is it?
No. If it were, I'd be dead. And probably 100 million people all over the planet that eat raw meat every day is in the form of kibbeh, steak tartare, sushi. The people eat raw meat all over the world, in every culture. In Africa, it's predominant in the Samburu and Fulani and Maasai tribes. So how it's toxic is their imagination. You have to understand that they believe in the bacteria theory. And I'm not saying that bacteria doesn't exist. I'm saying the bacteria is not the cause of disease. The bacteria theory says that bacteria causes disease. Bacteria doesn't cause disease because all bacteria does is eat. It's like we eat to survive, they eat to survive. So what are they feeding on? If you're eating good, healthy, raw food, your bacteria is going to be as natural as it's been for millions of years, millions and millions of years. It's going to be correct. There's not going to be toxic substances unless you've eaten a poison mushroom or a toxic berry or something like that, where you're going to get sick from your food. But when you eat a food that's been cooked or pasteurized, there's up to 32 known toxins that form from eating cooked food. 2 or 3 of them that are actually called carcinogenic are heterocyclic-amines, lipid peroxides, and acrylamides. All of them are known carcinogens, and that's what developed from eating cooked foods. So what happens when your digestive bacteria breaks those toxins down? They form multiple toxins on top of those that you form. So you have a toxicology problem or a toxic problem with cooked foods, not raw. So you have to understand that doctors should not even open their mouths about diet and nutrition because they don't know anything except maybe a tiny bit. They have no education in nutrition, and if it is, it's not really nutrition and it's not dietary. They learn vitamins and proteins and they love chemistry structure. They don't learn diet and nutrition. So they really shouldn't open their mouths except to say, I don't know. But here on the doctor show, you had 4, I don't know where they get these gorgeous doctors, but these are all good-looking doctors. And they'll hook you into believing the nonsense. And all they should say is, I don't know. I don't know, because that's all they know. They know drugs. They know disease. They don't know from where it originates, because they blame it on bacteria mostly, because of the disease theory. But it isn't that. It's chemical, industrial chemicals. Cooking your food, like I said, causes 32 known toxins. Okay, that's toxic. You don't have those when the food's raw. So they're miseducated, and the pharmaceutical industry dictates what doctors believe and learn. So it's the pharmaceuticals industry that's the main monster bad guy here. And all these brilliant minds who become doctors are duped. And they believe it, and it's so sad. Because, you have doctors believing inane stuff. And stuff that doesn't help people. I mean, how can you have a doctor say that raw meat and raw dairy are bad when we've been eating them for, we know, thousands of years? And yet these chemicals that come in the drugs, that they're always giving chemicals, they don't give food. They don't give a dietary program except for a few of them. They think they know something. But they give drugs. And that's what they're trained to do, give drugs, chemicals. How can a chemical that the body does not know or has not lived with for millions of years know truly what to do with it? And we know that they're all side effects. Every drug has a side effect. There's no exception. All drugs have side effects. And you hear the ads on TV, oh, this will make you, fertile, and you'll be virile and happy and healthy. But if you get a liver disease, if you get a blood disease, if you get swollen ankles, if your balls fall off or your teeth fall out, go see your doctor. Why would you have to put an ad like that on about the toxic effects, side effects that often happen on a drug if it's good? And they worry about a little vomit or diarrhea from a raw food, which rarely happens. There are 12% more cases of vomit and diarrhea on cooked food diets than my diet. Very rarely does somebody have vomit and diarrhea. It's down by 12% on the primal diet. So you have to look at what those beautiful, good-looking doctors say with a grain of salt.
Okay. I do have one question. Because you just said that bacteria are not the cause of disease. And I've been taught that since I was 3 years old. I mean, don't touch this, don't put that in your mouth. And that's what we're taught. How do you know it's not? I mean, am I going to just take your word for it?
No, I will tell you how. Okay, I work with predominantly sick people, or I used to work with predominantly sick people. Now I work with a lot of people who want to be top sports people, who want to be the best of everything, or just want to be good looking. And this is a good looking diet if you do it for looks. I don't do it for looks, I do it for health. I ask people to get fat because fats bind with poisons and make you strong and protect you. So I like people being fat if they're sick. If you're a healthy person, just be good and stocky and have enough fat on your system to protect your body. So I have had a lot of very diseased people, even up into their 90s. I had one person that was 97 years old that came to me very, very, very sick. Put them on these raw meats, raw dairy, get well right away. These people are in the high-risk category, so-called high-risk category. If they eat these foods, they'll get some bacterial food poisoning that'll kill them. The only food that can be poisonous is food where the bacteria is eating toxic substances. Then they release all those toxic substances and make more compound toxic substances. If those accumulate in a body, they will have a reaction. They will have diet or vomit or diarrhea. If the body keeps collecting those, they'll have some disease. And we have 2,300 diseases, and it depends upon where the body stores those toxins and how it stores them, which depends upon what disease they develop from those toxins. But it's not the bacteria's fault, it's what you fed them. And that's industrialized chemicals, industrialized food, processed food. Some people can handle it okay, live shorter lives, and maybe die quickly, very abruptly of a heart attack or aneurysm or whatever. But most people are getting diseases. When I was 10 years old, there was 1 in 1,000 people who died of cancer. Now, according to major doctors, elderly doctors who've been around for a while, they say that 1 in 2 men get cancer, 1 in 3 women. From 1 in 1,000, 60 years ago? I mean, that's pretty bad. We're not going on a better track. Medicine isn't making us less disease. And here I am, and all those other people are who are very sick, ate those so-called dangerous raw foods. Here we are, alive and thriving. I start my 67th year next week. And I was supposed to be dead at 21. So you can't get me to believe in the bacteria theory. I've eaten rotten meat up to 1 year and 3 months old. I've eaten rotten dairy. I've eaten rotten all kinds of food that's raw. Never have had diarrhea or vomit from it. And boy, when I was on cooked foods, I had lots of constipation and vomit.
Wow. Okay. Well, thanks, Aajonus.
You're very welcome.
Could you say that last? What I lost kind of the thread. When you were on raw food, you had lots of constipation and vomit?
No, before I went on raw food.
Yeah, well, you didn't say it right. So
Okay.
take it from there then.
Right. While I was on cooked food, I had constipation. Maybe I would, let's let you get forward like you were. Okay, when I was on cooked food, I suffered vomit a lot, and I constantly constipation. I was going once every 1 to 5 days, and I bled every time I had a bowel movement. When I started raw food, even with lots of dairy and cheeses, I had bowel movement every day. No problem.
Wow.
So you can't get me to believe, after my experience with thousands of sickly people who were in the high risk for bacterial contamination, not get sick and get well. It does not prove the bacteria theory, it disproves it.
I see. Okay. Well, thank you, Aajonus.
You're very welcome.
Okay.